Now we're here today to find out how to argue.
The world has a problem. Millions of people don't know how to win an argument or a debate, and that's why they proceed to name-calling
fascists.
Use these laws.
Did you use the word smart? Yes, don't ever use the word smart, because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe.
Or even violence. The thing most people don't realize is that arguments aren't about truths, they're about perception. Winning doesn't always mean proving you are right. It means making the other person or the audience believe you make sense. In this video, I'm going to be revealing the techniques that the best debaters use to win arguments. Applying them will make you invincible. So, are you ready to win a debate, especially if you are wrong? I don't care, just watch the damn video. Composure.
Composure, lads. Composure.
Your composure will give you an edge over your opponents. Nothing kills your credibility faster than losing your composure. Just look at Charlie in this clip.
Why don't you live like a socialist?
Okay.
I live like a capitalist every single day, Shank. I live as a capitalist,
hey,
okay?
hey.
I live when I believe. Come on, Shank, let's go.
Charlie,
What are you doing?
Staying composed makes you look smarter and more intelligent, even if you are not. If you stay calm while the other person gets aggressive, power dynamic flips. So instead of trying to outsmart them, outcalm them. Additionally, being composed helps you gather your argument and not lose sight of the points you're trying to pass across. Lastly, being composed helps you to apply the third killer strategy on this list. Active listening. Active listening means making conscious effort to understand someone else. It helps you avoid entering into conversational traps that could ruin your argument. Listening helps you discover cracks such as lies, logical gaps, as well as non-arguments of your opponent.
Well, child marriage was legal in America actually throughout most of society for thousands of years, especially in the Old Testament and in the Bible, right?
Where is the Levitical law that allows you to marry a child?
Oh, yeah,
Can you name the verse?
Well, I can't name the verse, but the particular case.
Additionally, it helps you notice when your opponent is getting emotional. Beware of derailing interruption.
Let me talk! Let me talk! Let me talk!
This is when someone interrupts you before you can establish your strongest point.
It's no hassle. But all I'm saying.
This can be pretty frustrating, as you can see in this clip.
Require it. And what you're
They do
talking
in plenty of places.
Well, you're asking mainline Christian
Isn't there stigmatization
belief.
if you don't do that?
Okay, you're good at interrupting, not good at answering.
The constant interruption by Parker made Charlie lose his composure. Luckily, there are 3 ways to handle being interrupted. The first trick is to
other than by using magic.
The first trick is to pause, acknowledge the person, then return to the point you were making.
And it doesn't work very well with
How tough is it to take property from an elderly woman?
Let me talk. Quiet. You were very much involved. Excuse me. My turn. You were very much involved.
Once your opponent has established the pattern of interrupting you, the next thing you can do is to preempt the interruption. Here is an example.
This is actually what's interesting. And please don't interrupt me on this point. Social media has changed in modern times.
If the person, however, continues to interrupt you, just call them out on it.
No, right now. Okay, it helps the economy. All right, you're still interrupting me. Unreal.
Wait, you laughing for what? Why is it too loud?
Humor is the best escape route when logic fails. If you can make someone laugh in the middle of tension, you can lower their defenses. Additionally, when you add an element of humor to your argument, it makes it look more persuasive.
How do you feel about Donald Trump saying that he wants to terminate all articles found in the Constitution?
I mean, show of hands, who takes everything that Donald Trump says seriously in this room? And I would also recommend that if you take everything that Donald Trump says absolutely literally, you might need to see a psychiatrist. Donald Trump does not take.
People can get so wrapped up in laughing that they don't even necessarily evaluate if they agree or disagree with the point you just made. Push for specifics. People usually hold broad opinions without necessarily being able to express them properly. So when you're struggling with a broad spanning charge, take the necessary first step of pushing your opponent to provide specific examples.
I'm a college student, I'm a black woman, and I believe that white privilege fucking exists.
There's a question I do want to ask, which I can't seem to get an answer. What can she not do in America that a white person can do?
The fact that you are sitting here with like little to no education trying to talk to people about white privilege is white privilege.
Name one thing that you can't do that I can do.
I don't know, I can't make a whole fucking dollar.
What? You can't? Why?
Don't get wrapped up defending generalized statements even if you don't like them. Because if any blanket label is made against your position, if you try to defend against it, you're just entering into an argument you don't even understand. So instead, push the other person to relate exactly what they mean specifically. If this doesn't work in your favor, the next strategy would be your safest option. But of course, we're just getting started. Now we have to move on to the business of active argumentation, how to come out on top, even if you really shouldn't. If you're enjoying this video, I want you to do me a quick favor. It only takes 3 seconds. Click the like and the subscribe button to support this channel. That's it. Thank you very much. Now back to the video. It is very important that you only use these strategies wisely, and of course don't overuse them so people don't get a hold of your trick. So what you're saying is, the problem with most debates is that there's often more than one reasonable perspective on an issue, and that is a big problem. If people start to think your opponent's position is reasonable or even just understandable, then there's every chance they'll start to listen to them, and we can't allow that. Listening leads to comprehension, which might lead to persuasion. At this point, the debate is lost and our ego is tossed in the bin. We can prevent this from happening through the careful use of exaggeration. Every time your opponent puts forward a position, simply say, "So what you're saying is," and then fill in the blanks with the most bizarre interpretations of their words you can possibly imagine.
Masculine traits are going to be helpful. I mean,
So
and so does high negative emotion.
You're saying that women aren't intelligent enough to run these top companies?
No, I didn't say.
Rather than leaving room for the most moderate position, you can pretend that in affirming a particular case of something, your opponent has actually agreed to the much more general extreme principle. This ensures that their true point will be completely obscured with only an implausible strawman left in its place. And this sets us up perfectly for our next move. The Socratic Technique uses questions to facilitate good faith argumentation, where both you and your opponent can come to a mutual understanding of each other's points in order to learn something new and hopefully get closer to the truth. Who cares about that? We're going to apply this in an entirely different way. In order to baffle and confuse rather than illuminate, we must keep our opponents constantly on their toes with questions that are either irrelevant to the overall point or simply lead them in the direction we want them to go. Our aim here is not to use questions to understand, but to undermine.
Like, if you could go back in time, would you put those pedophiles in prison that married those children because it was normalized, they were deceived into thinking it's okay? Would you put them in prison?
No, I would not go back and retroactively enforce laws where things were currently not illegal.
You wouldn't put pedophiles in prison in the past. What's a red herring?
6 to 8 question.
What's a reductio ad absurdum?
Another way to use this is by asking questions that make them question their own beliefs or even show cracks in their argument.
If you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped, oh, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
This can be applied in conjunction with the next strategy. Time requires to give an in-depth presentation of a really delicate argument might require a long time and several reasoning steps for it to be understood. So what will make this difficult task almost an impossible one? Well, interrupting them every few seconds will do the trick.
Preparation for the real world.
What's the actual solution? You're just telling the problem again. Problem. What's the solution?
If I could finish my sentence.
Start with the solution.
The solution is you to stop talking for a moment, right?
This makes your opponents lose composure, which in turn makes them put things clumsily, therefore making their opponents to become confused. This will make them or anyone present think they're not confident or possess sufficient understanding on the topic. This interruption tactic is especially important to do if your opponent looks like they have an argument that will actually end up refuting your position. You see this a lot in interview programs and online debates. Notice the interruptions.
And majesty. Highness is a relative.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm more offended by.
Highness is a relative.
Tell you what I'm more offended by.
Higher than what, Piers?
I'm more offended.
I think people are starting to say through this trick quite more often. However, if you plan to be a dirty debater, this is the dangerous tool in your arsenal. Control the metaphor or use snug premises. A lot of us like to go around pretending that we are very rational. But in recent years, we've started to discover just how many extralogical factors influence our judgments and decisions. One of these factors is the power that framing metaphors as snug premises have on our thoughts. For instance, if the losses in a situation are more emphasized than the gains, then it makes people more risk-averse, even if the facts remain the same. But this cognitive bias presents a wonderful opportunity for the unethical debater who simply just wants to control the frame of the discussion. This can be done in a number of ways. First, we give our position a name that is packed as full as possible with positive connotations. For example, in this clip, Ben frames ending abortions as saving babies.
If you want to go to Planned Parenthood and get a contraceptive, go for it. I don't care. I do care when you start killing babies. This is a problem for me.
In the context of the last clip, in a debate about pro-choice versus pro-life, the snug premise Ben used is the words "kill babies." This entire debate hinges on the personhood of the baby or fetus, and using the word baby implies personhood. Ben is able to sneak in a word that most of his opponents will probably disagree with, but he does this in a way that they don't even notice, so they are stuck coming to the same conclusion that he does. Most debates are won or lost on snug premises. By concealing the steps we use to arrive at our conclusion, we can get there without the other person knowing exactly how they disagree with us. So if you want to win cheaply, this is an excellent tactic. Then again, what's the point of winning if we can't get across the further idea that we're smarter and more knowledgeable than our opponents? Well, luckily our next point should clear this up nicely. This is a way to feel smart and full of knowledge without having to do any of that messy thinking or learning. As first class, anyone will take us to be an expert on whatever we're talking about. This is because if you bombard a person with a ton of facts and numbers, you're probably going to start questioning your own beliefs. A flood of information can leave a person unable to verify every single information, making it seem like you are a fountain of infinite knowledge and wisdom. However, we have to be very careful when we want to use this trick, especially if it can be easily fact-checked. But it's also important to know what you're talking about and be a fountain of information as well, in case you just want to win ethically. Side note, it's very important you are full of information. That way, you can easily manipulate the information to fit wherever you want it to fit.
If you're richer, you tend to be married longer on average. People who are poor tend to get divorced more.
Where did you get that statistical trend?
Census Bureau.
Coherence Principle. People usually stick to their own views, right? So if you can get them to agree with the small points first, you can use that same consistency to guide them towards a bigger idea. If you can agree that A is true, then we can't disagree that B is the next logical step. Once your opponent has agreed to a small point, it's harder for them to backtrack on something bigger. Well, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and also watch this video because you'll definitely enjoy it. Bye.